I call the member for Whitsunday.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I remind the member for Cairns, I remind the member for Barron River and the member for Cook, if he prefers the member for Cairns, that I can pronounce it that way too. But what is most important is that we remind them that it took the member for Burdekin to meet with constituents, to meet with regional community members, to sponsor petitions and to listen, Mr Deputy Speaker, to the concerns of victims of crime, to listen to former child protection staff, to listen to justice workers, to listen to youth advocates and, most importantly, to listen also to residents and business owners who every single day are walking the streets of Cairns in fear, returning to their homes in fear, that their business and livelihoods will be disrupted. Mr Speaker, it must be a great day in this House for the members from Townsville, Tarrangara and Mundingburra when we were in Cairns and I was there last week to learn that Cairns has now surpassed Townsville in vehicle theft. Quite incredible, isn't it, in North Queensland, that all of the policy that the Attorney and the Police Ministers stand up and tout and the millions and millions of dollars is doing so much. So much. It's really working when we've seen significant increases in crime in North Queensland. One thing we know, Mr Deputy Speaker, is that the members across the Cairns region and the members across the Townsville region are united in one way, and that is silence. Silence on behalf of their communities, Mr Deputy Speaker.
I take personal offence. Hardly silent.
Member
to withdraw.
Member, I hadn't recognised you or given you the call. So in future, do not rise to your feet and start talking. Seek the call or let us know that you have a point of order. Do you have a point of order?
I do, Speaker, and I apologise. I asked the member. I take personal offence. I asked the member to withdraw.
The member's taken personal offence and asked you to withdraw.
Mr Deputy Speaker, I withdraw.
Do you have the call?
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker. I'd like to, Mr Deputy Speaker, I'd like to highlight some of, in relation to the Attorney's amendment and amendment to the motion. I'd like to highlight the Attorney's record when it comes to community safety.
Member for Tarrangara.
Decisively, their significant investment, in youth justice programs, etc. And what I'd like to refer to is some real responses that I received on my recent visit to Cairns, and the example that under Child Safety's watch, that a 14-year-old child actually died under the care of this state government. A youth juvenile died. What a proud record this government has. That two 14-year-olds, aged 14 and 15, waited 3 months to be approved by Child Safety for bedding, for housing, for mobile phones and even for food vouchers. And we wonder why children are committing crimes under this state government, because the state government's policies and delivery of child safety is working so fantastically, Mr Speaker. And for the record, for those members, that was sarcasm. Child Safety are making promises to young people and not keeping them. It is the child safety system that is fundamentally failing these children. And when a minister flies in for a morning and flies out on the announcement, and I spend the day engaging with those who have formerly worked in child safety, Mr Deputy Speaker, who are consistently having to step in because child safety and youth justice are inconsistently attending court. They are inconsistently supporting young people. When young girls and boys are residing together in residential placements that are resulting in a 14-year-old girl becoming pregnant, this state government is doing nothing but facilitating intergenerational cycles of crime, of marginalisation, and the members who represent that community should hang their head in shame. It is the abuse, the violence, the sexual assault that the member for Cairns just highlighted that is being facilitated by the structural failings of this Labor government, by the systemic failings of this Labor government, by the failings for this government to adequately implement best practice principles in a practical way. The Carmody inquiry demonstrated all of the recommendations and the lip service paid by this minister that is failing our First Nations people. Our next generation of First Nations children Mr Deputy
Member
Speaker.
for Kawana and member for McConnell cease
It is
your quarrelling
under this
across the
government's
chambers.
policy that we have seen nothing short but an increase in crime, an increase in children in the child safety system, an increase in youth in the youth justice system. It is this government that is failing public safety for the people in the community of Cairns. It is this government and its lack of policy, its lack of implementation and lack of leadership by the minister that continuously fails the people of North Queensland. And I am proud to stand next to the member for Burdekin because it is us that have to travel to North Queensland to hear from that community.
Order. House will come to order.